You have some money? See if that works? No, enjoy it. Thank you so much. Everybody having a good night? Day?
Oh, so good.
Guess it's not night just yet here. One moment. If you could all turn those name tags to face me, I would appreciate it. Excellent, excellent. All right, guys. My name is Brett. We're going to be having a conversation here today. We're going to be talking about some issues that maybe not all of us agree on. And that's okay, because we're all going to leave here giving each other pats on the backs and high fives and go grab a drink at the bar. Because no opinion is wrong, which also means no opinion is right. I just want your opinion. What I mean by that is I might ask a question, what's your favorite sports team? And somebody might say, my favorite sports team is the, or I say, what's your favorite football team? And they go, my favorite football team is the Chicago Bulls. Matthew might go, Brett, you idiot, that's a basketball team. Nope. To me, that's my favorite football team, the Chicago Bulls. Right? And I'm right. In my own mind, they're the best football team there is. And Michael Jordan is their best quarterback ever. So just, there's no wrong opinions. I just want, and so Matthew, if you want to afterwards come back and say like, well, Brett was kind of wrong, and say like, well, I like the Chicago Bears, but, and you bring it to me, but not at each other. Let's keep it coming at me, and then all of us can leave being friends, and you guys can be mad at each other. Also, nothing that you guys say tonight is you're never gonna see it again. It's never gonna be up on a web page or news site or anything like that. Everything's completely confidential. I could actually turn on the lights back here. Nobody's even back here tonight, so. It's
I didn't realize that was a two-way mirror.
It's just us tonight, and I just trying to get some opinions. We're gonna shoot through some questions and introduce ourselves. If you guys could all do me a favor, pull out your phones and turn them off. You're gonna see me fiddling with mine because I will have notes, I'll have texts, I'll have things that come in on mine that I might need to respond to regarding this group. Not, my dog or anything. But so if you guys could all turn off your phones or turn them to silent, I'd appreciate that. First thing we're going to do, got a sheet in front of you here, a packet. Don't turn the pages until I tell you so. That way we can all be on the same page with everything. But if you could do me a favor and fill out these first 5 questions. Oh, let me just say one more thing. You're going to see a lot of questions tonight. And it says, please describe your favorite color. Something like that. You're not going to see that question, but you might see something and you go, what is this question, what is he trying to find out? Maybe it's misworded. It's probably misspelled also, you'll see that in here. But you might say like, what does he mean by describe your favorite color? And you might say like, hey Brett, do you want like blue? Like, well, I don't want to answer that because you might say, my favorite colors are pastels. Matthew looks like he's a pastel guy. And so, I don't want to direct Matthew to say, dude, just say pink. Just pick a color. No, because pastels is Matthew's thing. Great. That gives me more information, right? So I might try to be cagey for some of this. So like one of these, as an example, says family situation. That's talking about a dog. I could say, my family situation is that I have a dog Falcor. Or I could want to say, my family situation is that I am the son of Welsh parents. I don't know. Something like that. So that family situation would be an example. Later you're going to see some questions and go, what is he looking for? Well, it's how you read that question, how you're responding to that question, all right? Let's answer these 5. First name's good enough also, sorry. If you have last, great. It's going nowhere, so it doesn't really matter. Give you about a minute to finish these up, if you would. Right on. Let's go around the room. We can all meet each other, feel comfortable speaking to each other. I'll start it out. Name, Brett Lloyd. Number of years in the area. I'm from DC, so 0. But it's been nice since I got in this afternoon. Occupation, I am a circus act. Family situation, I have a dog Falcor. Favorite type of ice cream, bubblegum. Martha, you finish first, you gotta go. Now it's you.
Okay. Martha. I have also came from DC when I moved here 30 years ago. Crazy. My occupation, I'm a human resource manager for a manufacturing company. Family situation, I'm a single mom with a teenage son who's a senior in high school, so he'll be leaving. And my favorite ice cream is pistachio.
Nice, excellent.
Okay, my name is Kenneth. Number of years in the area, 16. I'm retired. I'm single. And I like chocolate ice cream.
There it is. Nice to meet you, Kenneth.
Thank you.
I guess that's me. My name is Sean. I've been here for 39 years, so my whole life. I'm a senior business analyst with a local health insurance company. I'm engaged, and Neapolitan would be my favorite.
Okay, what part of the Neapolitan?
All of that, just because it's 3 different,
All right.
My name is James. I've been in Tampa 47 years, and I'm divorced. I have a freshman that just started high school. He's a musician, and I'm in IT work, and favorite ice cream is vanilla.
Nice. Nice to meet you, James. Robert?
My name is Robert. Like Sean, I've been here all my life, 39 years. I'm an assistant child care director. And like Sean, I'm also engaged. Getting married next month, actually.
I mean, if you like the same damn ice cream, you know.
Best thing.
We won't tell. And my favorite ice cream is peanut butter cup.
Nice. Excellent.
I'm Matthew. I've been in this area for about 12 years. I do maintenance by day and play drums at night. I'm at a stage in my life known as empty nest. They all moved on. And my favorite ice cream is chocolate mint.
Excellent. Excellent.
My name is Laura. I've been in the area for 35 years from Baltimore. My occupation is personal trainer, nutritionist, and model. Family situation is complicated. And my favorite ice cream is cookies and cream.
Are you allowed to say that as a nutritionist?
With that.
Cookies and cream?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There's like Halo out there.
Sure.
There's the good ones that you can eat the whole pint for $300.
I tell you, I don't feel like a nutritionist when I'm walking down the aisle.
Yeah.
I'm not a nutritionist.
It's very hard to feel like ice cream aisle.
Sure. Excellent.
I'm Elizabeth. I've been here 28 years. I'm a scheduler in the medical field. My family situation is me, my boyfriend, my new baby, and my dog. My favorite ice cream is chocolate.
Excellent. Excellent. Excellent.
Daniel Markwright. 64 years I've been here, but that wasn't counting the time in the service. I was born here at the Tampa Native.
Thank you for your time.
Retired. Right now I'm a lapidary instructor at jewelry making place. It's a volunteer. Married. And peach ice cream, when I can
Peach?
find it.
Wow. All right. All right. I like that.
My name's Elizabeth. I've been here 18 years from Oklahoma originally. I'm not working currently, but I used to do, I was a latent print examiner, fingerprint examiner. I'm married, no kids, and I have one elderly bulldog. And Haagen-Dazs chocolate is my...
It's gotta be Haagen-Dazs.
Specifically.
Yes. Pistachio is a close.
All right.
My name is Tara, and I have been here 34 years from Pennsylvania. I I stay at home with my kids, but I'm a part-time teacher. I have a husband and 4 kids. 3 of them are teenagers right now. And my favorite type of ice cream is anything that has the name chocolate in the name.
Perfect. I like that. All right, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna get into some questions here. I'm gonna ask you, we're gonna flip through this packet, we're gonna answer some questions, and then we're gonna chat about them. Each one is about a page long, so if we could all flip to this next page, you're gonna see 5 questions here. Again, if you have a question about it, wait until we're kind of done. I'll give everybody like a minute heads up or so to finish out some thoughts. But just don't ask that question while we're kind of all looking at it, because you might throw somebody else off. Come back, ask me later, if you don't mind. All right, about a minute left. Finish up your thoughts. Anybody have any questions about that? All right. What I'd like to do is I'd like to go to question 2. Anybody throw anything in there in question 2 that you wouldn't mind telling me what you wrote? Go for it, Ken.
Taxes,
Taxes.
absolutely.
All right. Sean, you seem to agree?
I have simplification of the tax code.
Simplification of the tax code. All right. Yeah.
Healthcare.
Healthcare. All right.
I agree with Laura.
All right.
I wrote the same.
Okay. Without changing your opinions, Elizabeth, what do you think needs to happen with healthcare?
I think it needs to go back for Obama, before he was in office. I think it should go back to
Okay.
how it was, because it's not affordable healthcare. It's so unaffordable.
Okay. Laura?
I'm going to agree only because it hits me the most because I'm self-employed. So, with the way that I've tried to go up a level on certain things when it comes to women's health care, I am very opinionated at some of the female care that I have to go to, or like abortion clinics,
Okay.
free clinics other people have to do, but I'm paying insurance.
Sure.
So that's why it's near and dear to me, because I feel like I should be able to see a regular doctor as opposed to somebody who doesn't have health care. They're able to see the same doctor I'm able to see.
Sure. Matthew?
I'd like to see it become more affordable. It's just ridiculous what I'm paying for healthcare.
Okay.
Well, before the Affordable Care Act, you could go to a doctor and self-pay out of pocket, and it cost maybe 100,
Yeah.
150
Yeah.
bucks.
No, it's double.
Now you're screwed because if you don't have insurance, you have to pay a penalty, which is
Absolutely.
outrageous. And I think I read a story where halfway through the year, a woman got married, couldn't jump on her husband's insurance right away, so she was still under the Affordable Care Act, got on in October, but because she was on the Affordable Care Act, they want her to pay back all the federal funding that they provided.
Wow.
And it amounted to like $5,000.
Wow.
All right. Let's go to question 4 here. Are you satisfied or dissatisfied with the current federal income tax? All right. Did anybody write satisfied? Okay. Martha, let me ask you, what did you put as the biggest problem? Now, I realize you said satisfied, but what did you write down as the single biggest problem with the federal tax system?
That, kind of similar to what Laura was talking about, particularly being in HR, I see a lot of people that don't pay taxes, don't get in trouble for not paying taxes, but I'm paying taxes. So that kind of ticks me off.
Sure.
I don't like it.
All right, somebody else raised their hand, was satisfied. Matthew, can you tell me what you put down for what do you see as the biggest problem with the federal tax system?
I see it as huge breaks to big business. I think if they paid more, I wouldn't have to.
Okay. All right. Yep.
Well, I put originally satisfied because in my personal tax life, I'm great, but when I look at what my parents are going through as a bigger self-employed company, that's what I put. I changed it to dissatisfied, but I agree with Matthew, the loopholes that allow big money to keep making their money and keep holding on to their money while we have to keep filling
Sure.
that bucket.
Sure. Elizabeth, I?
Well, for my family, I think the rate is relatively fair, but I just think it's unfair. I think that, just the whole process of doing your taxes at the end of the year is just this way too complicated. It's not for me, but it just seems like in general, the public, it's just ridiculous to expect people to, have to.
Okay, we're asking a couple different questions here about taxes on this page. Don't worry, we'll get back to ice cream later. Regardless if you're satisfied or dissatisfied, I just want to see a show of hands. Who thinks that that when we're talking about the biggest problem with the federal tax system, who thinks that the biggest problem with the federal tax system is themselves? It's happening to individuals like them versus it's happening to somebody else. Other people that might not be able to navigate this, corporations, loopholes, small businesses, whatever. Who thinks that the biggest problem with the federal tax system is something that's happening to themselves? Do you guys?
Kinda.
Kinda?
Because not only do I work part-time, but I'm also on disability. So it's like I'm paying into my own disability, I feel. And I think those who are in that particular category, there should be some sort of tax break, some help, because I feel, I don't know, what disability covers, it's not enough, hence why I do have to work, but like health-wise, I don't feel, just because of my health situation, I don't have the energy to fully put into my work, so it's like, I love my job, but at more times than not, I feel like I'm half-assing it because just how I feel.
Okay. Then let me ask the other question. Who thinks that the biggest problem with the federal tax system is probably happening with somebody else? Yeah?
Yep.
Who?
Everybody else.
It seems that way, don't it?
Everybody. I mean, tax rates are way too high, too many brackets. I mean, the whole thing is crazy.
Okay.
And like he said, they double dip. And not just in his scenario, but in other scenarios, they double dip.
Okay. All right.
I mean, a place like New York, you're talking about federal, but tax rates in New York might be like 65%.
With that accent of yours and you saying that you haven't lived here your whole life, I wonder where you come from.
Indiana.
All right, excellent. Could y'all do me a favor? Turn the page. You guys got a probably decent idea of how we're doing this now, right? Anybody have
Say
anything?
something about number 2.
Please. Get in there, number 2.
It's a really important one.
Solar energy, access to solar energy for more Americans, like subsidies and stuff, versus the power companies. And they, like Florida, we just had a bill last year, and there was a lot of smoke and mirrors to try to keep solar energy out of the hands of, the average Joe. That would put more money in the pocket of a lot of people, because, electric bills average from, depending on what kind of home you have, between $100 to $400.
Sure. You don't happen to be from Lakeland, are you?
No, Tampa.
Oh, okay. I know that's I'm not from around here, but I know that's something that Lakeland's kind of going through right now with the city charter. Exactly that same thing. All right, guys, next page. Please don't flip the next page over once you're done. We're going to go through and chat about it, but if you could fill that next page out, I'd appreciate it. All right, about another minute to finish up these responses. All right, show of hands, and this is totally fine if you don't. Show of hands, who knows anything about the proposed federal tax reform plan? Perfect. We can move
Yeah,
on.
that was exactly what my answer was.
Well, we can move on. Let's shoot down here to, I guess, trust. And I'm just wondering, people have said simplification, whether or not there's loopholes, whatever. Do you trust Congress, Republicans, Democrats, presidents to fix the problem?
No and no.
No and no?
Well, I trust the president, but not Congress.
You know,
Okay.
I think there's just too much destabilization right now, you know, in either or party to make any progress.
Yeah.
Swamp is too deep.
Tara, what were you going to say?
It's pretty much the same thing that I was going to say. There's too much, they're out too much for their own interests, for their own parties to do anything, to me, that I would think effectively, you know, for little people like me. So,
It's all
Okay.
about business.
Too many entanglements.
Yeah, too much
Okay.
bad.
Well, I want to know how you get into a public service job as a lawyer or something like that and come out a millionaire. You know, just,
Well, they spend all their time, you know, raising funds for reelection, and then they get to keep it after a while.
All right, well, let's keep some of those sentiments on the next page, circle and agree, disagree. Also, keep kind of in the back of your mind a tally of what you really agree with and what you really disagree with, because I'm going to come back and ask you that. So just circle the agrees, disagrees now, but keep in mind of whether or not one of these really stands out at you. All right, also, you can still take your time and finish up, but Now I want you to throw a star next to one that you really agree with and just give me a brief sentence of why, and maybe like a thumbs down or a down arrow or a sticking out tongue, something bad next to one you really disagree with, and kind of tell me why you disagree with that, just a brief sentence.
Oh, you want us to write the sentences down? Okay.
All right, take about another minute or so. Robert, tell me just what letter here you starred.
G.
Anybody else star letter G? Why'd you star this one?
I mean, I think it's self-explanatory. If people put their money into products and services, that means that those products and services can grow, which would create more jobs. It becomes very cyclical.
Perfect. All right. Daniel, you star one?
D.
Star D. Anybody else star D?
Yep.
All right, we got a couple in agreement with you, Daniel. Why'd you star D?
Doesn't happen. Good example is that solar power. Well, the solar power was a big flop when they got a lot of good free money, and instead of the companies really being able to take it and run, they blew it and ran.
Okay.
Solyndra.
Okay.
Yes. But, and it wasn't just that company. It's pretty much the American way with big business. It's about their profits and their investors' profits.
All right, so you disagreed with this one.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Anyone else? Anyone else kind of see one of these they felt strongly about?
Well, I said D, but I agree. I
You
don't
agree.
disagree.
Okay. Okay, great. Why do you agree?
Well, I think if companies pay less in taxes, they can expand and grow the economy, pay more in wages.
Okay.
This helps everybody.
All right.
We're
Excellent.
at 35%, we're the highest in the world.
You can compete with, these overseas markets. So instead of us sending, call centers to Manila or whatever, you can actually afford to have them here.
Okay.
It's-
Okay. Excellent. That's two interesting points. So let's do a show of hands. We give corporate tax breaks. Who thinks that the corporations will hire more domestic employees, goods and services, versus who thinks that maybe the CEOs will, and higher executives will pocket that cash and give themselves parachutes? Let's go with,
Can I just ask you?
yeah,
I misread that. I thought it was tax rates. I didn't think it was tax incentives, tax breaks.
Okay,
Overall, if the overall
Yep.
corporate tax rates are lower, that
Yep.
improves everybody's condition
Yep.
in the country.
no, absolutely, and this is
That's
kind
why I
of
started.
this is kind of a one-off on that. So we give corporate tax breaks. Do we think that the companies use those saved monies to help grow their business, or do we think that they use those saved monies to put into their pocket?
Pocket.
Let's go hands. Who thinks they use the money to help grow their business?
Depends on the business.
It depends
Yeah, I
on the
think
size of the
that's a
business.
I think
Large
some
corporation.
do, some don't. I mean, it's hard to say.
Hard to say? Who would, just based on that same description, say pocket? Hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Awesome. We're moving on. All right. One thing on this is you're going to see somewhere on here it says Florida. Question 20. Also, we'll probably get a little wonky on this, so do me a favor. Question 20, just cross out the word Florida
And put it in New York.
and put it in New York. And then also, down at the bottom where it says, please turn page, don't do that. Write don't between please and turn, so that it reads, please don't turn
I
page.
put don't, but I put it in.
And we're going to do the same thing on this, so keep in mind what really sticks out at you, what you really favor, what you really oppose. After you answer all of them, give one a star, one a thumbs down. Give something that you favor a star, give something that you oppose a thumbs down, and give me a sentence on why you chose those.
Am I supposed to read the question as if this is what they're going to do?
Yeah, are these true statements?
These
or-
are statements.
Thank you, James.
These are statements about the tax reform proposal.
Okay.
As it is.
Okay.
As it
As
is.
That I-
Statements about the tax
The
reform
ones they
proposal.
currently have.
Okay.
Is there a reason number 16 has no
16, yeah.
favor or?
Oh, there's no reason. Throw a favor or oppose in there. You can just write which whenever it is.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Thank you. Brad, I'm gonna see if she has a tissue. Oh, you have one of them. I'm gonna blow my nose off.
Go, knock your socks off. All right, if we could finish up within about the next minute or so. All right, guys, first thing that we're going to do, anybody on question 22 that circled both, now you have to underline something. Family or businesses? What's more important? I'm pushing you to one. I want your circle on both still, but now I'm going to push you to one. All righty. Where do we start here? What do you got for us?
Mine were all favor.
You pretty much all favor?
Yeah.
All right, so these
Pick
statements,
families for number
these
22.
these statements have been made about the tax reform proposal. Starting to learn more about it, hopefully, and then we'll come back and speak more to the tax reform proposal as it stands. Obviously, some of these statements, some people would agree with, some would disagree with this statement, but they are statements about the tax reform proposal. That being said, which one did you throw a star next to? Which one did you really favor?
Really favored number 14.
Anybody else really favor the tax reform proposal provides tax relief for families with child and dependent care expenses? All right, we got Robert back there. Why do you say that?
Well, like I said, I have 4 kids, but mostly my youngest son will likely be a dependent of ours for life because he's disabled. And so, you know, his expenses to take care of him are huge.
Personal.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. I would ask you what you put a thumbs down on, but it doesn't look like you did. Anybody feel adamant about anything on this that they'd like to speak to? Anything that they saw that they go, oh man, I really...
23.
23. By growing jobs and businesses, the tax reform proposal will create more opportunities for all Americans, but especially those stuck on welfare or in need of more and better work, to lift themselves and their families out of poverty and up the economic ladder. Did you favor or oppose this?
I favored it, but I don't think it'll work. In that, under what its criteria, the last statement they make, as working through our church and our services to the community, I find that there's a heavy mindset out there that has grown dependency for decades. And that dependency is not going to disappear with just an available job. And they have made it a way of life.
Well, I think it's got to be a multi-pronged approach. 'Cause you
It
have to have
can't
welfare.
be as simple as that statement. You know, so the
Right.
observation that this will bring that to happen,
What would you, what do you think could be tethered to this question that you might, 23, education, urban planning, what do you, is there
I
something?
think there needs to be a realization that that expectation will take time. I think that it will work, but it's just not going to happen overnight.
All right, Sean?
No, I mean, I agree, but like I said, I think it needs to be a multi-pronged approach.
And that
You
might,
know, it can't be just, yeah, this is going to do it. No, you have to have, you know, like welfare reform. I think some of the things are kicking around is, you know, a work requirement or like a job training requirement in order to qualify, things like that,
Okay.
you know?
James, what do you got for
If
me?
you start cutting, in line with what they're saying, if you start cutting services and this is part of the mindset behind, well, we're just gonna start cutting these programs out, welfare, you can see more people on the streets holding up signs or homeless, including more families with children.
well, that's why I agreed that I favored it. I didn't disagree. I'm saying I agree with it, but I'm saying the expectation that that statement ties in is
Sure.
unrealistic.
Okay,
No, I agree with you.
yeah, okay,
In that
excellent.
spirit.
Looks like a real-life situation, almost probably old enough to remember. But when we had Jimmy Carter as the president, I mean, you could get help. You get a guy with a PhD who wanted to come in and put cans on a shelf in a supermarket. And then, so you had no jobs and 10 applicants. Then we, President Reagan, then we had no applicants. People were fighting over an applicant. The guy next door was paying him $12 an hour, you pay $14, so you couldn't get help. So it makes a big difference.
Sure, okay.
So if the economy improves to the point where being on welfare is maybe not as advantageous to getting a job
Correct.
and making
Sure.
50 grand a year, you might think about the 50 grand a year as opposed to sitting down watching Jerry Springer all day.
We got to do something.
Yeah.
All right, moving on, does anybody else have anything that they saw in here that they put a star next to or thumbs down or anything?
I put a star on 24.
You agreed with 24 or favored it or
Yes,
opposed?
I
Okay.
favored it because it's, in my opinion, it's not fair right now how they'll, you know, tax you twice. They're gonna,
Yeah.
you know, and retirement and whatnot.
Okay. Tax you twice.
You got to explain your 22 choice. I mean, he said he wanted us to circle.
Oh, and then
What was the holdup on there? You were, don't put me in the corner.
They're equal, but I had.
What came up on top?
I had to put business because without the business, you can't do the families.
Okay, excellent. Who else was on the who gave me both on that? What'd you end up with?
I did both, but I also agreed it's business.
You fell on business?
They're both equal, but that's more equal.
Both but family.
Yeah.
Both but family, both but family?
But I completely agree with what both of them are saying on that. You know,
I
you're
agree
right.
with what both of them
Yeah.
are saying too.
Sure. All right, excellent.
If you haven't got a job, you could be paying no taxes.
All right, we got one more page of this kind of longer favor opposed. This, you're going to see some misnumbering, and also, you're going to see something that says Ohio somewhere.
Top one.
Top one, cross out Ohio. Cross out Ohio all the way over to Page before Florida.
Do we keep Florida then?
Yep, keep Florida. I might have just came from Columbus this morning. Didn't update this just yet.
about that?
The IRS would not like this.
Right?
You wouldn't have to stand before Congress and say, I take the fifth.
All right, let's take about a minute to finish up. All right. Excellent. Elizabeth F., talk to me. What do we got going here? What are you? Anything you favor? Anything you oppose? Anything you're adamant about? Anything that you want to correct me on a misspelling or typo?
Favored almost everything. I put a question mark next to 31.
Next to 31.
I didn't choose anything on
Okay.
that one, just because if it would remove some of those codes, I would want to know what the 70,000 codes are before anything's like removed. So I didn't want
They don't know
to
what
agree,
that
disagree, or favor or oppose.
Sure, you bet. What did you put a star, highlight, or candy cane next to?
Star next to 34.
Next to 34, this proposal would eliminate the death tax so that the loss of family member would no longer result in paying additional tax on top of what it took a lifetime to earn. Anybody else star that one? Got Kenneth on that? Why'd you put that, Elizabeth?
Just because I think that it's, like it says, it took a lifetime to earn it, and then families are going through the loss of a loved one, and then they get something in the mail that, okay, now you got to pay this money, and maybe they didn't even like have a whole lot that they can pay, maybe their house, they owed a lot on their house. Now the family member has to come up with that money.
Okay.
Worse, they didn't have a relationship with that person.
Or,
Now they hate them even more.
Get some reasoning behind a death tax anyway.
I thought it was only true on Monopoly.
Did you see something on this page that you agreed with more than you saw on the previous page? Because on the previous page, you had put, if I'm not mistaken, you weren't happy with getting taxed twice. But when I asked who had 34, I didn't see your hand go up.
Oh, I favored it, just
Yeah.
not super strong.
Just not
Yeah,
super
I
strongly?
definitely favored
Okay,
it.
what'd you super strongly favor on?
I don't think I super strongly favored it, but it's for 27
Okay.
and 31.
All right,
In my opinion, as long as it is a fairer system.
Fairer
similar,
system.
Fine.
okay,
I think we disagree on what's fairer.
sure, a fair system, all right. Let me ask you guys, between all of these questions on this page, did anybody have something that they really opposed? That it wasn't just like, I circled it, I opposed it, if they saw it and they're like, no, I'm against that? No? Okay, take a minute for me between this page, and you can go back a page, not forward a page. We favored and opposed a lot of things. I don't care what the question is. I don't care. It doesn't. You don't have to give me a number. I want you to, at the bottom of, it's 35. You probably have a sentence or two of favor, opposed, or whatever. At the bottom of this page with 35, between everything that we looked at that's favor or opposed, could you give me a theme, a message, what about this proposal in your head that you favor the most? It doesn't have to be in a question. If it's getting taxed twice, I would really oppose that, or whatever it might be. Something that you favor and something that you oppose. It could just be a line from one of the questions. It could be, so just out of all of the things that we read, one of the things that you favor, and one of the things that you oppose.
And you want a reason why?
Sure. All right, let's shoot around the room. Give me what you like, what you don't like.
I didn't really have a ton, I only have any on the last two pages that I opposed.
Okay.
But if I had to oppose something that was happening now, I just said I really oppose being taxed twice
Okay.
on the same funds. And for me, really favored the tax relief for families with dependent care expenses.
Excellent. Moving on down the line. Elizabeth?
Yeah, same thing, I favor the removal of the double taxing. And I kind of oppose the 10%, 25%, 35%.
Why is that?
I think it should be flatter
Flat?
personally.
Flatter or flat? What if it was 25, 26, 27? 24, 25,
I think
26?
flat would probably be better, but
Okay.
I don't know enough to know for sure.
Sure, okay.
I think flat would be better.
I'm going to try to put you in that corner. All right, excellent.
I actually like the numbers
Okay.
that were posted on that, and I was going to favor that as far as, I just didn't have time. But to me, the percentages they have, I think will still give businesses a good edge,
Okay.
you know, as far as with the volume and the amount of money. But 24 again, because with 24, that taxation part, the eliminating the double tax, I think that will have a growth in the economy, because then people have more money that will be able to be put back into either purchases or goods in that way, or vacations, whatever. It then builds the economy.
Okay.
I got a vacation here though, man, or else, you know.
All right, Elizabeth F., what did you favor, what did you oppose?
I favored number 16, the proposal cuts on savings and investments.
Okay.
Just because that's kind of like a double tax, I feel like. You earned that money from your job or however, you worked somehow to get it, and then you invested it in something, and then now you're being taxed again.
Okay.
Opposed, I didn't get to that one, but
No, that's good.
I would have to say the strongest one that's on my mind is, let's see.
It's okay.
Yeah, I didn't get to
No
that one because I
problem.
was writing the first one.
Not a problem at all. Laura?
The one I favor the most is number 32, only because of the conversations I hear over and over from my parents. Like I said, I'm a small business owner, but I'm not as hit that much on taxes as a personal trainer as they are as a business owner. They're constantly trying to find ways to find losses, find ways to get deductions, because at the end of the day, at the end of the year, they owe thousands. If they have to do that, they can't really show what that business truly did, I find. And I don't want to say like they cook the books, they don't, but they do have to find deductions and losses to not pay a lot of taxes at the end of the year.
Well, this is why I'm here. I work for the IRS.
You're gonna
I
win
was just
Yeah.
waiting.
Because they're hiding. But no, it's true, and I do know a lot of small business owners that are like, okay, well, this is really what I did this year, but because if I showed that to the IRS, you know, I would have not made any money, I would have been out of business,
Okay.
you know? So it's not like, you know, so that's the one I do favor the most, because I hear the most about it.
Sure.
And then the oppose, and I don't want to make this sound horrible, you know, because I do know you get disability, but it's like what Daniel said, I've done work to help the homeless and stuff like that. Homeless are different than people that just sit at home and don't want to have a job, do not want to go out and make the effort, but they're taking advantage of all of this.
Okay.
And, you know, I just kind of always felt that it needs to be, I don't know,
Sure.
to be a little bit more regulated.
Matthew?
Yeah, I favor a fairer, flatter, simpler tax code, and I don't really agree with giving the tax breaks on the investors like capital gains and interest, because I don't believe that most Americans have investments like that, and that's only for rich people.
Okay, perfect. Robert?
I agreed with Tara on the favor, with
Sure.
tax breaks for the families and
Yep.
healthcare dependents. My oppose has nothing to do with what was written. Mine has to do with accountability with
Okay.
big companies taking these tax breaks. I want to see proof that you're putting the money back into these companies.
Did you write that down for me?
Yeah, I don't believe that happens.
Yeah, well, that,
Yeah, I believe that
I
happens.
believe what you're saying, because I worked for a very big, large corporation, and believe me, when they're sitting there driving Mercedes-Benz and a new one every month, and their employees are all driving beaters into the parking lot that has thousands of
Or
cars,
looking in, yeah.
I don't see that going back into the business, and I
Yeah,
don't see that
I
going
don't
back
see
into
it
the
going back into the
employees,
business.
especially when they cut your 401k and stuff like that. That's hard.
Alrighty. Perfect. James?
I'd like to favor 13 and 29, a simple, fair, platter, easy tax code, easy taxes. Maybe I'm ad-libbing here, but a streamlined, kinder, gentler IRS that doesn't create burdens for their citizens
Sure.
and seize their assets when they're hardworking and, you know, maybe they made some mistakes, you know, they weren't out to defraud. And then number 23, I agree, you know, with, there has to be something done, but at the same token, there has to be some kind of process, because you just can't have, you don't want to create a situation where you have more people that are homeless or
Sure.
impoverished.
Perfect. Yep. Perfect. Sean?
I'm going to have to agree with Laura. I have 32 as well. Didn't have anything I opposed. But I think easing the burden on, small businesses, corporations alike is going to, have that trickle-down effect. You're going to build more jobs, you're going to stabilize the economy, and, it's just going to be better for everybody.
All right. And what did you, is there anything?
I don't have anything I opposed. It's
Okay.
tough to find anything on here that's,
Perfect. Get it?
I put down number 22 as my favorite, cutting tax rates on businesses and families.
Okay.
And I oppose doing nothing. You gotta do something.
Gotta do something. Oppose not doing nothing.
That's number 36.
No, that was number 33, it just didn't show up on the page.
Yeah, doing nothing.
Was that one?
Yeah, true.
All right, Mark?
I favored lowering taxes for smaller businesses to keep the jobs here
Right.
and not send them elsewhere. And so that was number 35, because also it could hopefully bring some foreign companies here.
Perfect. All right.
So I definitely favor that, particularly being in a hiring position.
Sure.
I see that all the time. And then I oppose the double dipping, the double taxing.
Double taxing.
Yes.
We don't like that.
No.
All right.
Only when it comes to ice cream cones.
The sad part is that even if the federal government does this, the states have their own free will.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're going to take off
It's
on.
gonna take a while.
Oh, boy.
You can
Luckily,
turn,
we're for it.
you can turn to the page now. Kind of going back here, asking some questions you might have seen kind of similar of. Just answer this one, maybe two questions for me, if you would. If you're on depends or unsure, can you tell me why somewhere?
Say that again?
If you're on depends or unsure,
Okay.
could you tell me why? Why that is?
What does VOL stand for? On depends and unsure.
Oh, volume, it's for.
Oh, okay.
Yep. If you could finish up within about the next minute. All right, show of hands who put favor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. Anybody want to, you know what, we'll just run it through. Brief sentence of what you wrote on why you favor it.
I put simpler is better, no double taxing, and fair for both families and businesses.
Okay.
Simpler, and, well, what she said, your second one, no double tax.
No double, okay,
Yeah.
excellent.
I favored it because I found nothing on there that I disagreed with.
Perfect. It's just if you, how about, regardless of what you had, start out with saying if you favor, oppose, depends, or unsure, and then give me your sentence on why. How about that? Elizabeth?
I favored it because I feel like there needs to be some kind of change, and with everything that I read, it seems pretty good.
Okay, excellent.
I favored it as it's written on paper. If it happens, it reads as though Congress wants our economy to flourish all the way down to the low and the middle class.
Perfect.
I favored it, and I believe it'll make it simpler, flatter, and fairer.
Okay. Robert?
I wrote it all depends on where the tax break money is going. If it's going back to our economy, then great. If not, then no.
Okay, perfect. James?
I wrote depends. I think people need to know more. I think the president or somebody needs to articulate, all right, this is where we're at today with this bill, not this version, but this is the final version, this is where we're at. And whether that's an address or a tweet, something, and then same token, maybe take Congress into accountability, like, okay, now it's up to you. This is what I want.
Okay.
If you don't do it, it's your fault.
Excellent. Sean?
I'm completely in favor, if all of the proposals, come to fruition, then, I think it's just going to do nothing but improve the well-being of the country and citizens.
All right. Ken?
Again, in favor, and reducing taxes benefits everyone, families and businesses.
Okay. Martha?
I favored it. Lots of positive proposed changes that could benefit families and businesses.
Perfect. Everybody do me a favor. We're going to just stand up. We're going to take a minute, shake it out.
Seventh inning stretch.
Yep, seventh inning stretch. That's exactly right. We're done with answering questions. Now you got to be creative.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Well, hopefully you're ordering our ice cream.
Vanilla. James, I'm great with the vanilla. I think that if it were my, desert island, I'd go vanilla, but I'd want that desert island to have like nuts and fudge.
Oh, yeah, and Oreo cookies on the side, kind of like a yogurtology.
Yeah.
That's my kind. But you said ice cream.
Because I wouldn't want to get stuck with like bubble gum.
Yeah.
It's like, man, bubble gum again. But I don't think I'd say that with vanilla. I'd be like, all right, no, it's ice cream.
You can always add coconut if it's on the island.
Yeah, so that sounds great. I'm also intrigued by this peach, Daniel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is that a Georgia thing?
All I can say is that until you've had good peach ice cream, you just don't know what you're missing.
I don't know what I'm missing.
You know what? There's a new spot, there's a spot in Wesley Chapel. They do that rolled ice cream now,
Okay.
where they take.
Oh, like the marble slab?
Yes. They'll take like cream, drop some pieces of whatever the hell you want in it, and they chop it up and they roll it around and it
Cold stuff.
Cold
and
Stone.
it makes, and then they scrape it up and it makes a roll.
I saw on the way, before I came here, they took a drumstick ice cream, chopped it up with chocolate syrup, and they rolled it and put it in a
Look
cup.
how we're bonding over ice cream.
Ice cream.
That's how it is.
Homemade ice
Tax
cream
reform.
with Delta pieces on it.
And if you have not tried pistachio,
Oh, it's
because I waited forever thinking I'd hate it, it's delicious.
There's a local place by me that does avocado honey, and I was like, no way.
Interesting.
But it was good.
Wow, you tried it?
Yeah, because it's like the people with the mustaches and stuff now, they unicycle in and they make these interesting creations.
Wondered how you got in this one.
All right, everybody. This next page says ad creation. I'm going to give you 5 minutes here
Oh, boy.
by yourself. And I want you to think of yourself as a content director for an ad agency. You're gonna pitch me 30 seconds on a tax reform proposal. I want you to sell it to me. I want you to say, you know, some people had talked about, I don't know if I would trust Congress, I might trust the president. I don't know if I trust anybody in government to sell it to me. I would want to hear that it's fair, flatter. I don't like getting taxed twice. Whatever that might be that stood out to you. A commercial, a 30-second ad, I'll give you a hint, you can put in about 75 words. I don't need you to necessarily write me a script. You can if you want. But I want to know what you're going to do to sell it to me, Brett Lloyd. I know nothing about the tax reform proposal, and you are trying to get it to pass through Congress.
The way it's written.
The way that you kind of have heard and talked about it and seen, what are some of the things that would stand out to you? Maybe, you know, James had said, you know, he might want to see some contrasting messages. This is where we're at now, this is where we could be. Elizabeth F. had mentioned that, you know, there's 70,000, that it's a little heavy. She'd want to know some of the things that are in there that are getting cut. You all had mentioned something throughout this last hour and 15 minutes that you would like to see or that really stood out to you. Now I want you to put it into a message. Just take a couple minutes. You can think of it as a radio message, a Facebook post, whatever it might be, whatever you might be wanting to sell, but think about it in terms of how you would sell this to somebody. When you go home tonight, you hop on the phone with your buddy, how do you convince them that the tax reform proposal is the best thing that they could be a fan of? Just take a couple minutes, think of the message, think of the themes. You could come up with a slogan, a logo, anything that you would think that might make sense.
I own the rights to this, by the way.
That's yours.
I copied
right, you can take another about minute or so to finish up. You ask those. Daniel and Sean, I need a volunteer from one of you two. You win. Will you come sit here?
Okay.
All right. Sean, now this is your group. You five.
Hey, listen, I'm a technical guy, so, you know,
And
not creative at all.
David still work on this. Matthew, you're going to head up this group. All right? We're splitting it down the middle, right here. Now, between all of your ideas, Matthew, with this team, you come up with one ad. Sean, you come up with one ad. You're going to work with everybody's ideas. You come up with the ad that everybody agrees with is, hey, this is the ad. You guys got 5 minutes.
Holy cow.
Gosh. Guys at the end.
Right.
Sean, you need to write it down. Matthew, you need to write it down. Or you guys can tell me.
Anybody have a title?
Mine is
Who's got
Are You
what?
Tired?
I put a title, Hope for the Nation.
I could, let's keep
I like that. I
in
think-
our home,
Make our tax
in
system
our home
fair.
turf. We just say it.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I've been listening to
BBC
too much
One.
Trump.
That's what we need.
And the reason I chose that is because I don't think our nation's ever been more divided.
Proposal is a
Oh,
little
God,
And I think the one thing we're united on are these issues we talked about today.
Even
I
those
would like to see
reaching
healthcare up there
retirement age
more
with
so,
fairer
but
rates,
the
like 10%
taxation,
for people making
that's
less
something we
than
can all
whatever,
agree
I don't know what that is.
needs fixing.
Removing
Okay, I like
taxing
the
of
word
retirement
united.
savings.
Is that in
And
there?
removing the unfair loopholes.
'Cause I
The
think
new proposal
you
puts
hit
more
a spot.
money into the pockets of Americans.
That should be in there, right?
It should be, I think.
I like that a lot.
You're putting
Have you
I'm a
seen
lousy
that?
writer. Let me see.
So just need a little flag in the background, so everything, you know.
I believe mine was, Are You Tired of Complicated Taxes, Double Taxation,
had,
High Taxes on Small
tired of your
Businesses,
family paying
contributed to the
taxes, and
IRS
the
with
owner
that,
of
but
the
not
flourishing
understanding where it
down the
goes.
street.
With the new
Think it's unfair that your
proposal,
investments are
proposed
taxed after you're already
reformation,
paying taxes
I
and
feel
the
like
money
you'll be able
went
to
to
sleep at
invest in
night
the
knowing
first
we will
place.
have simpler
Do you
codes,
feel like
local
you need a
tax brackets,
PhD to
even
even
better
decipher
America,
today's
an
tax
American
codes
stimulated
and start your
economy
taxes
where
in
we help
January just to
enable our
make
less
April
fortunate
15th deadline?
all the way up to the middle
Maybe you're
class
hitting the
while not
streets 8 hours a day
feeling
filling
rich
out
just
job
keep getting richer.
applications just to
That's
find that
a
most
really
positions
nice
you're
outline,
applying
and it covers a
for
lot of things.
are
What do you
outsourced
got?
overseas to non-Americans. If you can relate the
I
new
was
tax
pretty
reform
much
proposal is for
making it
you.
sound like
I was gonna say that this
like
message is for you.
More streamlined,
commercial,
simpler to
kinda like
navigate,
you said.
fairer
Right,
for
right.
families and businesses,
You know,
and
have
no
you heard
double
about the new
taxing.
tax reform?
Now you may
Would
finally
like
be able
paying
to
less
afford your
tax
slice of the
and
American pie.
Small
Ooh, I like
businesses
that
trying
too.
to pay less tax. I said it's time to make a change to the tax
Anything good?
system and a change to help.
Well, I don't know, I just read what I wrote. I don't know if it's a commercial, I just put out some thoughts.
Nice.
But 70,000 page tax code is just too large.
Okay, I'll read mine.
What do you got?
Way too much
I
in
put,
taxes, families,
spoke
and
to the
businesses.
nation, I said if there's any one
Many
area
companies go
that
overseas
our
just to
divided
avoid paying
country
these high
can agree
taxes.
on, it's a tax strategy that
Let's
works
reduce
for
rates for
everyone.
all Americans, make
And
taxes
if we,
fairer
the people,
and lower rates,
let our
all
Congress
rates
know
for
that
everyone.
as
It's been over
our
30
elected
years since
representatives,
taxes
we
were
support
changed.
this
It's time.
proposal
Congress
legislation
must
as
get this
written.
done and must be
And
in
that is beneficial for
2017.
individuals and corporations alike, and I never got to finish it.
Well, then that's really great.
Yeah, I just have,
That's
literally,
nice.
everything you guys said, I have in bullet points right here, so, I mean,
Yeah, I did bullet points, but
What facts you got for us?
you know.
no double
But
tax,
yeah, you know,
tax
more
breaks
money
for
in your
families
pocket,
with dependent
windows
care.
hit on,
And tax
more
for
jobs
families in
country.
general. Tax breaks for companies.
Less
to
red
put
tape for, you know,
back the money's back
employers
into their
or
companies.
small businesses.
Easier to understand and simplify.
More
And then
opportunities
at the
for
top of
growth
it,
and
at Denzel,
improvement.
Washington.
Actually, you're filing a tax on the postcard.
Don't trust
more
me.
restaurant block, no more,
Right, right.
no more tax and all that.
That's the insurance company that every time he's on, I'm like, what's he
Right,
saying?
right.
What do you guys?
Somebody trustworthy.
And what do you got, James? I like your slogan.
It was more generic back to.
Yeah, combination of Tara and
Whatever
Elizabeth.
picture.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's gonna be a winning
Make it-
combination.
Make it
Yeah, you may finally
simple,
be able to
really
afford your
simple,
side
make it
slice of the
fair,
American
really
pie.
fair,
I think that's
flat.
a damn great closing.
I like
argument,
that
you know.
Workers,
That's just a
middle
closing
class,
argument,
small businesses
you
and
know.
corporations across the board.
Is this all in a tweet?
Well, yeah, a series of tweets.
I almost started it.
Yeah.
Hashtags.
Yeah,
How many people
hashtag
agree?
really fair,
We're
Kofifi.
You know, a sample of the Americans. I mean, what's going on with
I
this?
think-
IRS.
I think taxes is
And,
something,
That's a very hot
Now-
topic.
yeah, no, but I think
IRS up
paying
there,
too much
penalize
taxes
you.
is something most people agree on.
Absolutely.
I think if it
And
were a
we're
social
not gonna,
situation,
we're gonna have
there'd
safe
be
nets for those that
more
want to transition from welfare
Yeah.
to work.
but
Then why doesn't Congress get it?
Yeah.
What's going on?
That I think- that would be-
Well, and
I would
a
hope
lot
that
of these
happens.
questions,
Yeah,
or
I think you
these
have to incentive
descriptions
give
of
incentives
reform,
yeah,
tax reform
to
proposal,
folks who have
they
been,
sound
whose
great written down on
welfare
paper, and
is
if that's
broken and
truly,
people
that's what they're meant to do.
do
they took out
really
the
well
human
for
factor.
themselves who
Just
are on
because
welfare
you
using
create more
outside
jobs
means
doesn't
of
mean that
There
people
are.
that are on
I
welfare
think
want
the
them.
saddest thing is to see how
Doesn't mean
some
that,
people
you know, just
really
because
go
you
to
give
work
tax
and
breaks to businesses and now
do
they
all
have more
sorts
money,
of
doesn't mean they're
hardships to
gonna pour
get
it
there
back
and
into their
back again,
employees.
Yeah.
only to
You know, I
find
mean,
your neighbor
you're
who
taking
stays at
out
home and
the-
stays
yeah,
at
and maybe
home
I
is
just-
getting the same.
I'm a little cynical, maybe I'm the last
Keep in
half
consideration the
person, and
creation, so our
I don't
audience
believe in
is
the
very,
inherent goodness
they
of
don't
it.
know
Wide
what this
I
is.
just don't,
So
and
we
so
have
I
to
just
really
think that it takes out the
use feel
factor
words.
that.
Right, that's why.
It's really simple words to
They have
get the
to.
point
Everybody's out for number one, that's the society we
I
live in,
didn't know
it's all
any
about
of
me,
this
me, me.
before I came
And-
here.
and
None of
I
us really
just
do,
think-
yeah.
I knew it was gonna be a flat tax
Overall,
proposal, I
most
remember
people have
seeing
that
the numbers.
mindset.
And I remember that it was going to
help
be
myself?
basics.
How do I line my pockets? How do I keep
As
more of my
far as
money?
how they were going
How do I
to
help my business
eliminate
grow
a lot of
and
the
keep
wording
more?
and just drop down and default
I don't know that they would,
to just
you know?
strictly
I mean, it all sounds great,
separation for
if that's truly what they're
what,
gonna do.
and I'm glad they wrote
Those
it
want
out.
that
I
money
just
that
remember
they're
at the
giving
beginning
break
of it, reading what the
I've heard a lot of this.
So I'm glad to see that they
about,
did a lot of
television,
work on
different,
it. If
That's the
that can
problem, there's
happen.
been a lot of
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then again, that's why I'm trying to,
Well, the guy
I was adding
Brady,
the fact that
who's
if
in
we're
charge
going
of
to
the
sell
taxes
it,
in the
we've got to sell it,
from
that
Texas.
our
This is a lot of
representatives
things he was talking
unfortunately
about.
are not elected by us.
So
They
these,
pretty much
they
know
come
how to
from someplace.
manipulate
They
the
Oh,
just-
yeah, it'd be
system.
nice
The
to see
money
it done,
that-
absolutely.
Jumping
I was
through
told by, I'm good friends
over the
with
hurdles,
Senator Victor Chris, when he was a senator and still
I
is a
heard that
commissioner.
guy,
And Victor, working
gonna
with
do
the
something
community
tomorrow in,
association,
the Reagan Library in California.
the
talking
issue
about
really
the
comes
proposal
down
for
to
the
that, he
tax.
said
So,
60 to
something worth looking
70% of a
Yeah,
senator's
definitely.
time
I
is
think,
spent
you know,
on
some of the
securing
might
his
be that,
reelection.
You know, right now, it's like the
funds.
current
But in
climate.
ad creation,
But I'm just saying, in that
That's
sense,
not-
what he's saying is,
Just because.
yeah, that's the
Yes.
feel
But
words
if they
you
don't,
need
you know,
there.
use the word
That's
accountability,
just
if they don't, you know,
get the media
do this for you.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because
You
they
hold
are
them accountable
so,
come election time.
That's right.
Like
One
something
way.
to
and
them.
because Because,
And anything
because they're
throw-
going to the
I
businesses,
mean,
not so much to the
I
people.
remember,
And they're
gosh,
using the campaign
20
ads
years ago,
and paying
you
people for
showed
tricky
respect for the
catchwords
president.
and things to get them
And
elected.
position he held.
But
Whether
they're
you're
doing it
now
on the money
beliefs or not,
supplied
it's
by
a
the businesses.
joke.
Right.
And that's why everybody's
Cannot do
campaign is
anything right.
basically
You can't
I
even
the
stand up.
can't remember, I can't
Ones
think of
with
one
the biggest
favorable
parts.
article that I've seen.
I like the way you explain.
There isn't
Not
one.
one.
Okay.
They just make fun.
Yeah, mine's I kind of took one fact from each of them.
Well, okay,
and
I was gonna
put
say,
them
win,
together
so
like,
come out on top.
it's time for a
Not to
change,
take
it's
all
time to
hands
make our tax system fair again.
I think he's trying.
What they say
We
is,
need a
when
tax
do you give
strategy
up
for
to go there?
everyone, we don't want any double taxes, it should be easier and fairer, and we need to streamline the IRS.
God, everything,
But I like
that's all
what she
you ever
put
hear
as far
on
as
the radio,
explaining
on
it.
TV.
These are
Everything
kind of
is just,
facts
oh,
and
well, you
bullets
didn't
that
do
we all
this
kind
right,
of
you didn't do
made.
that
Yeah,
right, you didn't
I
do
like the
this
way you
right.
explain that, so I think that would probably
You
go
didn't condemn me, you
years.
turned out, but you condemned too late.
I
Yeah.
said,
That's for a wrong
proposal
reason.
reformation, I feel you'll be
Make up
able
your
to sleep at
mind.
night knowing we will have simpler codes, level tax brackets, and even better, an American stimulated economy where we help enable our less fortunate all the way up to the middle class while not feeling like the rich just keep getting richer.
Nice cut seat, man.
Yeah, so I think with this and that, it makes it.
Yeah, that speaks to the people.
Just kind of.
Not hard.
Good job.
That'd be a quick sell.
All righty. How was that? Stuff come to mind that maybe you hadn't been really thinking about? New ideas?
I think the 70,000 tax code pages, that was something that's got to be stressed.
Yeah.
70,000 pages.
How many people realize it?
Yeah, isn't that an art?
And you might even only be eligible
Reading
for
an
one,
article,
but you gotta go through all
that was
70.
produced by an
Right.
IRS upper level agent that was talking about that within the branch that he was at, there was no one who could decipher and give a straight
Yeah.
answer that was the correct answer by another individual. They were all guessing.
All gray area, right?
Because he said the time to review it, to try and isolate and get a specific answer. So when people would call in and ask for an answer, they were being given
Multiple
just,
answers, right?
yeah, and they didn't care if it was correct.
I was just-
Or they'll get disconnected.
Or they can't even get their money though.
Because it was too big to find.
All right, does anybody have something, before we get into what your group had, did anybody have anything individually that they wouldn't mind sharing?
Individually,
That you wrote down there you have for your ad? What'd you write down there for your ad?
it was more for the overall proposal. And I put down hope for the nation. And pretty much if there's one area that our divided country can agree on,
That had a good answer.
Hold on.
it's a tax strategy that works for everyone. If we, the people, that let our Congress know that as our elected representative, that we support this proposed legislation as written. And then I kind of ran out of time.
Yep, absolutely.
But, you know, heading
Because
in
we the
that
people.
direction,
I like that.
because, you know, that's,
Sure. Tara, what'd
I
you-
like how you said, "We the people." That's
yeah.
good.
Tara kind of threw you under the bus here. What do you got?
Mine was kind
It's like rounding up everything.
killing two birds with one
Mine was
stone.
kind of like an
That's good.
infomercial, so it's
No,
a
that's
little
perfect.
cheesy, but.
No, perfect.
I said, tired of your family or small business paying more taxes than the owner of the flourishing mini mall down the street? Think it's unfair that your investments are taxed after you already paid taxes on the money earned to invest in the first place? Do you feel like you need a PhD to even decipher today's tax code and start your taxes in January just to make the April 15th deadline? Maybe you're hitting the streets 8 hours a day filling out job applications just to find that most positions you're applying for are outsourced overseas to non-Americans. If you can relate, then the new tax reform proposal is for you. More streamlined, simpler to navigate, fairer for both families and businesses, and no double taxing. Now you may finally be able to afford your slice of the American pie.
You see why your group took this?
It's feelings, I mean, she appealed to the people who need to know the most about this. I just feel like
That's
it's not
stay at
hitting
home, and with the
home.
children, you're a stay-at-home communications professor.
Oh, no. But I can talk to 4 teenagers, so maybe that's how. Oh, yes.
Matthew, what do you guys' group have? Or does anybody down there, anybody have anything individually that might not have made the cut to Matthew's directorial debut here? Matthew, what do you got, bud?
We just kind of took a little bit from each person here, and we came up with like, it's time for a change. Let's make our tax system fair again. We need tax strategies that are fair for everyone. No double tax, easier, fairer, and streamline the IRS. And then,
Oh, yeah, it's my handwriting, sorry.
Oh,
With the new proposed reformation, I feel you'll be able to sleep at night knowing we will have simpler codes, level tax brackets, and even better, an American-stimulated economy where we help enable our less fortunate all the way up to the middle class while not feeling like the rich just keep getting richer.
Okay, excellent. Now, for that, and let's just say this one for now. For these two, before we ran into a problem of it's not believable, I don't know if they would be able to make it happen. How does this become credible? Who reads that to you so that it becomes credible?
Donald Trump.
Okay, Donald Trump?
He wouldn't be afraid to.
I like his idea.
I said, how digital Washington, or something that, so, very
Agreement.
just have somebody who's trustworthy, like, in the public eye, read it.
Yeah.
I think that's what people want, to be reassured. And to me, Denzel or
He won an
Morgan
Oscar,
or,
so I mean, why
you
not?
know, somebody that can convey these messages of and to bring comfort. I think that's what most people want. They want to feel comfortable.
Okay.
And to me, somebody that's outside of the political realm to bring this message forth, I think that's
Okay.
what.
Excellent.
Well, unless the political party is known to that person and you're not, in agreement
Yeah.
with that, and that would be a turnoff
Okay.
for me.
So a neutral,
Because a
a
lot of
neutral
other
person.
places is how
Yeah,
they
yeah.
stand,
But if you make
you
it
know?
that the issue itself is something has no party, because taxation really isn't a Democrat or Republican.
Sure.
It's
What if
eat at night.
What if you saw an ad and it was Sarah, mother of 3, Pennsylvania?
That's what I was thinking, like a family
Yeah,
person,
and-
you know?
Yeah.
And she's saying...
Or Tara, mother of 4, Pennsylvania.
Sure.
See, and I was thinking like somebody from each different, somebody different, say each part of the
Sure.
ad. You know, you have a
Small business
stay-at-home
owner
mom,
and-
you have a small business owner with their name and what they run at the bottom of the screen, so you know they're a real person. It's not like those lawyer ads where it says this person isn't really a lawyer, they're an actor
Paid,
or actress.
Yeah, watch out, you're gonna have a job application out there when
something,
you leave.
she should,
She's still the chair. She gets the chair.
The comfy chair.
Somebody different from every, level.
If it gets to where you have somebody who is known as a party, then you need to have a counterbalance from somebody else
Yeah.
who's, to where you
Yeah.
have that equity.
He hit that point on the head that it's just not, it's so torn, we're so torn
are too
in
divided.
Congress right now, we're so
Oh, we're
divided.
definitely divided.
And you've got to skirt that by some kind of unity that's
Sure.
either intentional or somebody unknown on each side, but
Well, I think the census uses that technique a lot, using many different people to appeal to a mass, and I think that would work.
I think that Trump definitely needs to put the message out, but in line with what they're saying, having those different voices come around and speak to the issue, reach all the audiences that maybe they're, they don't know what the plan is, or they have, they don't like Trump, or they don't like Republicans, or they don't like Democrats, or whatever the case is. If you have like what they're saying, that those different voices.
Sure. Okay. Let me ask, now, do me a favor, don't answer this question out loud. We'll do a show of hands. What's better, getting tax reform done or ensuring that the new tax reform plan is bipartisan? So getting tax reform passed or ensuring that whatever is passed is bipartisan? Right now, Republicans hold majorities in House, Senate, and the executive branch. So there's some idea out there that where Republicans can just pass through tax reform, the tax reform that we've been talking about today. Or there's
Kind of like
another.
how Affordable Care Act passed.
Please the party.
Sure.
Why can't we please ourselves?
Sure. Or is it something that needs to have investment by both sides of the aisle? So, by show of hands, who thinks that there needs to be bipartisan stake in tax reform? Thank you all for showing up. That is all we have for the night. And what is our other option?
Is the ice cream outside?
There's no other option.
It should have. Getting done or it being.
I mean, I thought you were going to give a multiple choice.
Well, we're talking about how nothing's getting done in Congress, and, you know, if it doesn't matter if it's not
Well,
bipartisan.
when you say bipartisan in that sense, we think of almost like a duel going on. You got the two guns pointed at each other.
Sure.
The image is all wrong. I think if you're bringing in any part of a partisan, it's wrong. I think it needs to be done separate from it. Even though partisanship has to work to get it accomplished, that can't be the focus. It has to be done almost behind the scenes as a movement that everybody in the country can get behind.
And I think this topic transcends party affiliation.
does.
It affects all of
And
us.
the ad should be read by Congress, not by the people. We all agree.
And that's why I
Congress has
said,
to
you know,
read that
vote for
ad.
the nation and we the people, because we still are a people that can work together.
Elizabeth, you don't know.
I don't think it can happen. I don't think the Democrats will agree on what the Republicans want.
I agree.
But even the Republicans can't agree with other
Yeah,
Republicans,
that's
and the
right.
Democrats can't agree with other Democrats. Both parties are divided amongst themselves.
For the last
now.
few
It's like a
years.
split within a split.
Yeah.
Taxes.
It's really ugly right now.
It is.
Division
start
there.
Thank you all very much. If you guys could just leave your papers in front of you, I'm going to collect those. I thank you, but more so than my words, thank you. Make sure you see the ladies up
Yeah,
front
right.
before you leave. They can thank you better than I can.
I agree with that. And it's bipartisan.
I'm sorry?
It's not bipartisan, is it?
You said you can leave the paper, but can we take the pen?
Sure, it's not my bad.
Oh, we have a silver minutes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Sorry. Oh, no, it's perfect.
Disappointed you.
No, it was perfect. It was perfect.
Too many years, not enough days.
Thank you all.
Have a good
You guys
night.
have a good one.
You too, thank you. Have a safe flight home.
Will do.